Good evening, all of you, and warm welcome to today's class. We have completed with the module that we were discussing on business etiquette, where we looked at dress etiquette, table manners, as well as email etiquette, all dealing with various ways of interacting with others in the corporate world. Now, we are moving on to the last module in our syllabus right now. So I'm going to be discussing something which is the backdrop to a project of yours, which you will be doing in the course of this semester. So in fact, your term project or assignment in this particular subject is based on that. So that is on making a small documentary or shooting a documentary film. Now, I think all of you are aware of documentaries, and probably you have accessed at various points of time different short documentaries on YouTube and various other places. Okay, so in fact, you may have even shared these documentaries, and various DIY or do it yourself kind of films, short films, and documentaries are legion nowadays, and we use them and send them to various people to learn about various practical things or various aspects of practical utility in our everyday lives. So you are very well familiar with documentaries, but whether you have made them yourself or not, that is a different question. Um, but I think you did in the last semester when you had that assignment in the language lab of preparing a documentary, right? So you have made something over there. Is that correct? So you may type in the chat box, yes or no. Did you do a term project or assignment based on making a documentary film in the language lab last semester, your second semester?
No, sir, we were supposed to, but then the lockdown happened.
Okay, lockdown happened and did not materialize. Okay. In any case, I think I was not teaching you at the time. So
Yes,
just
sir, you
at the
were.
time, I was teaching you.
Yes, the
Okay.
second semester IT, sir, you were teaching.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Right. But I did share a couple of PowerPoints with you, but I don't think I had taken classes. Uh,
Sir,
I'm yes. You refresh my mind about that.
sir, you did take classes, sir. So about those French sandwiches, how, sir, you took a group and you told the procedure how to make a sandwich, and then you called another five and told us to explain them to see how we can convey the messages and all.
No, 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 not that one. That was on listening skills. So I'm talking
Yes, sir.
about the shooting of a documentary film.
No, sir, it was not teach.
No, yes, yes. Because by the time I had reached that part, this lockdown thing, the total
Yes, sir. Yes,
lockdown
sir.
happened. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I was not able to cover that in the class actually. Mhm. Right. Okay, fine. So I will be discussing, obviously, now we have to do it in greater detail. Now, what actually this project is about is um, actually, it is based on the interaction in the corporate world that you have so far been studying in this semester, where we have looked at different kinds of interaction in through emails, interacting with clients, customers, in business meetings, and so on. Now, I have also shared various videos, particularly when we were doing the meetings part. I have shared various interactive videos of the meetings, right? Now, the purpose in the setting of this project was that you come up with a case study video of something like that, like you have seen in the business meetings or the corporate interactions. Now, of course, we are not in the middle of a comprehensive lockdown like we were in March. Okay. so that completely vitiated the carrying on of the documentary film project that we had in the second semester. So that's a different thing. At the moment, it is not a situation like that, though there are still a lot of restrictions to be followed. Now, I would like you to base your work in a way that it will be practicable for you and it will be possible for you to do it at the moment with all the current restrictions and other things in place. Okay, not risking your safety or your health or anything like that. Okay, because obviously under the present circumstances, your health and your safety, this is the first priority, so we have to take care of that. I'm sure you and your parents are thinking about that. I am also at one with you about that. Okay, so nothing will be done by you which will jeopardize your safety or your health. Okay. Now, given that and some limitations which are there because we cannot all meet together or congregate at one place. Now, you can do, nevertheless, a kind of a short documentary film, or you can make a video, certainly, using various video making softwares. Now, the subject may be of something in the corporate interaction patterns that we have discussed so far, or it may be somewhat outside that also. I think I will be giving you a little more liberty than what your syllabus suggests, because your syllabus was conceptualized to be delivered in ordinary circumstances, not in extraordinary circumstances as we are facing at the moment. Okay, so I might stretch that and give you a little more liberty, but of course, we have to understand the basics of it. That is, how to script and shoot a documentary. So, that is something useful, I think, for all of us, and we can learn. Okay, definitely, there is something to learn over there. So, let us learn some basics of documentary filmmaking, and it should be interesting also. And I will be showing you some very short sample documentaries also, which are of a good quality. Okay, to begin with. Right. Now I have shared a PowerPoint with you. So the making of a short documentary film. Now, first of all, to begin with something very basic, that what exactly is a short documentary? This is something that we will be focusing on, and some things that you might need in terms of raw materials or the technology or the know-how, how to do research, to write the script, to do the shooting and editing and post-production. So everything related to the making of a documentary I will be discussing with you. So that should be of some interest, uh, quite apart from all the corporate interaction and other things that we have discussed. Okay, so what is a short documentary? Basically, if we say that it is a short film, I think we would not be far wrong. So, a mini documentary is also called a short film, or it's called a mini doc. Now, it might tell a story or share a message through film. Now, often on YouTube and even on WhatsApp, we keep sharing lots of short videos which have a story to tell, or which have some sort of a message, or which convey some sort of information. So these are all documentaries. Now, it isn't always that there is drama over there. Now, if you have full-fledged drama, then it's almost like a feature film, or a playlet. But this one is something more of an informative kind. Now, if you talk about the advertisements that we have, well, those are also a kind of documentary, and they are short also, but they are trying to they are trying to promote some kind of product. Okay, so the obvious purpose is not just to convey information, but to canvas about that product. A documentary as such may or may not canvas about some kind of product. So it might be about the habits of butterflies in a particular season. Okay, so there is a message to be conveyed over there, some sort of information to be shared, but we're not trying to canvas anything, we are not trying to promote anything as such. Okay, so that is what is a documentary. So it may be short, it may be a bit long also, It may have some story elements or drama elements, or it may not. Okay, it may just be some information or narration, or some observation with narration, and there might be some sort of message, or it might be just a series or sequence of images about some situation or some happening. Okay. Now, what is the time duration of the documentary? Oh, sorry. It can be anything between 2 to 25 minutes long. Obviously, there can be longer ones also. That can be about an hour or even more than that also. So 40 to 50 minutes, yes, we may have a documentary, a full length documentary, which is quite lengthy. Now, usually the budget for a short film or documentary is also small. So it's a small budget film, and the time options are also limited over there. Okay, so this is the basic. Now, suppose you are preparing a documentary, it might be on corporate etiquette. Now, the first thing to determine is what is the purpose or the goal of your documentary. Okay, now, actually, instead of just making a documentary on a business film, you can make one on the broader area of the ins and outs of corporate etiquette, or how corporate etiquette can be discussed in various aspects. So you take up any one of the aspects that we have been discussing, and accordingly you do research on that aspect, and you can shoot a series of images, or you can collect the images from the internet or from other places and edit them, okay, and make your documentary. So that would be a more sensible option under the present circumstances, rather than making a film where you are uh, you know enacting in a business meeting or sitting together, so which is not possible under the present circumstances. Okay, so first and foremost, if you are making a documentary on corporate etiquette, you think what is the purpose or what is the goal of your documentary? Is it to share some kind of information? Is it to highlight some trait or characteristic? Suppose you are going talking about styles of corporate etiquette in eating and table manners in the Indian corporate world. Okay, so what's the purpose? The purpose is to show how far Indian corporate etiquette has derived from Western table manners and how far it has diverged from there. Fine. So that's my purpose in making the documentary. So I will fashion the documentary accordingly. The next thing that you determine after determining the purpose or goal of your documentary is how to do research. Now, how to do research means where you will gather the information for making your documentary. Now, you might gather it very well from the internet and from various places. So, that, or you might get it from actual footage that you have taken. Okay. So, I don't think you will be allowed to go and take actual footage from corporate life in the IT sector or anywhere else for that matter right now. So, I don't think it would be at all possible. Just a minute. Hold on, please. Hello? Yeah, sorry about the interruption. So I don't think the norms would be possible, would allow you to go and take video footage, okay, from the actual real life, sector 5 or places like that. But anyway, you can get a lot of footage, and you can get information from various websites and other places on the internet. So you have to gather the materials from there. Then you have to make an outline sketch of what you are planning to convey in your documentary. Then you decide how to tell your story. What will be the standpoint of your documentary? What sort of narration or video with voiceover or dialogues are you going to have? Okay, what is the meaning of narration or dialogues? What is the meaning of narration and video with voiceover? So can you share with me or write in the chat box what is the meaning of narration and video with voice over? Write in the chat box.
Sir,
Or
actually, that means the describing the whole thing.
yeah, any example comes to your
Like
mind?
narrating means that you have to tell about any specific format other
Hmm.
than the objective,
Hmm.
what I am describing in any
Okay.
other language.
Yeah, it can be in any language. That's right.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, and what is
And
video
a
with
specific description.
yeah, specific description
Yes,
that
sir.
to accompany the images or the the film that you have. Okay, now the film footage might be showing, let's say that you have got a video on the Smart India hackathon. Okay, now you can make a video on that, the Smart India hackathon. So the various contestants come from different parts of India. They gather together at one place. So they are given all these problem situations. So they brainstorm on that. They think about possible solutions. Then they make presentations on that and deliver them. Okay. So all this is there. So maybe you show the video footage of these things happening and somebody narrates that or tells that in the backdrop. Okay. So that is narration. Okay, what is video with voice over? Is it like a is like an animation film?
Yes, sir,
Like
that can be done.
it can be done, right? So what you see in the animation films, like I think we are all familiar with the world of cartoons and animations. So over there, what we see is basically the cartoon story or is going on, and in the backdrop we have the voiceover of the various characters in that story, right? So that's there. So I can do a similar kind of thing even with a documentary. Okay, so have that. So though I think the documentary with the narration in the background would be a more natural one to expect because it's a factual thing. Okay, so either one of these is possible. We can have video with voiceover, we can have narration, we can even have dialogues. Like for example, if it's a business meeting, then naturally they will have a lot of interaction with each other. So those will be the form of dialogues, okay, or conversation. Now, the next thing that we have to do once we decide on these things is to prepare the script. Now, you're wondering that is this a film or what that I'm talking about that you are going to prepare a script? Well, maybe you have to think of it as something like a film, some shooting it like a film because this may be a short one or an informative sequence or whatever it be, but nevertheless, all the preparation that is required to make a full length film you have to make for a documentary also, even if it is a mini documentary or a very short film. Okay, so for a film one does need to write a script, to write it out like a drama. Okay, full length. Okay, with every single action specified. Okay, this person says this, then gets up from the chair, moves to the door, opens the door and looks out. Okay, then shuts the door and comes back in. So I have to write down all these points, okay, bit by bit, and all the dialogue and everything over there. So nothing is left to the imagination, nothing is left unspecified. Writing the storyline, writing the script means that I have to, not storyline, sorry, the script means that I have to spell it out in black and white, okay, from beginning till the end. Okay, and then what's the medium or mode? Am I going to have a cartoon animation type thing or am I going to have a feature film kind of thing? So what is it? Okay, so that I'm going to do.
Sir, we
So I
have to
yeah
first analyze what is suitable for the audiences. So what can be done for the audiences that will be suitable.
yeah
Then we have to narrate the whole thing.
Yeah, that is true. What is suitable for the audience? What kind of information you want to convey, and what the audience will be able to follow or understand. Okay, so then accordingly you write your script in that way, and then choose what sort of medium or mode you're going to have to shoot the documentary. Okay, so these are certain basic things to determine. First, determining the purpose, then doing research, making an outline, then devising how to tell the story, whether through narration or video with voiceover or dialogues or whatever, then preparing the script and then choosing the medium or mode. Okay, next. Now, what you will need, obviously, a storyline, then images, which can be photos, pictures, or moving images, or film footage or video footage. That is. Uh, then you also need some audio. If you look at the documentary films, you'll find that there's a lot of good background music over there. Sometimes instrumental music, sometimes other kinds of music. Okay, so you will need some background, some maybe music, the narration, voiceover, dialogue, all these things to be added in the backdrop. The tools that you will need, well, I don't know whether handycam or webcam is available to you. It may not be available, but certainly the smartphone is available, so you can use that itself as a camera for shooting the film. Then you will have to use some editing software also. Now, here is a list of editing softwares, many of which are free and open source, which you can use. Okay, now I have given some samples of editing softwares. I'm sure you people are quite tech savvy and you have got your own ideas of what sort of editing softwares one can use. Okay, so it isn't that you have to use these, you can use whatever you like, whatever you can get hold of, and what you are comfortable with. Now, among these, I think the OpenShot video editor and the shortcut one, those are quite commonly used. Okay, so they are very popular. I don't know so much about the others, but probably, as I said, that you are familiar with a lot more, and you can use whatever you like. But you have to use some type of editing software. Now, how to choose the subject? Okay, now make a documentary about the why and not about the what. Don't just convey lots and lots of information, because if you do something like that, then it becomes increasingly boring to your audience. Okay, try to make it about some subject which you are seriously interested in, and try to make it a good exploration of what you are passionate about. Now, you must have, or you need to have, your own viewpoint about it. Like, for example, I was suggesting a topic that is how Indian meals etiquette, business etiquette about meals differs from Western etiquette in such matters. Okay, now you will have your own viewpoint, your own take on the subject, which will be different from anybody else's. So you take your audience through whatever is your own viewpoint. Your originality will carry you through. This is what matters over here. And you tell the untold story, or be creative and think how you will develop the story. Now, the storylines themselves can be embellished through interviews, short sequences, narration sequences, and so on. Okay. Now, what is this short sequence? What is the narration sequence? Now, these are terms which are used in filmmaking, and we will, discover more about them when we are talking about the techniques in filmmaking. Okay, so let us explore a little more first. Okay, now how to do research about it? Now, even if you are doing research about the Indian corporate world, well, you can Google a search on the internet, and you can do some reading by getting hold of newspaper clips, interviews, articles, and even other documentaries. Now, in fact, suppose you look at the magazines like Business World, okay, or uh, there's a magazine called Open, okay, or the Economic Weekly, and you look at the newspapers like the um, a business standard, okay, for example, then you will get a lot of information, including facts, as well as uh, you know what should I say, pictures, images, photographs, etc., which you can use in your research work. So gather these kinds of things, and also print materials. Also gather photos, images, audio, video resources, clips from the internet. Okay, you can get, yes, this is one very fertile area, Pinterest. So you're all aware, I think, about Pinterest. So you know about Pinterest.
Yes, sir, we know.
Yes. So you can get a lot of information. Suppose you are searching about corporate etiquette or corporate dinner etiquette, so you will get a lot of pins, as they are called, in Pinterest. So those kind of searches will lead you to in other directions and to other searches in turn, and you will get a lot of info. Okay. Also, if you go to Google Images, stock photos, you can recapture a lot of photos related to your subject matter, which will be useful for you. So get all this information, and also sometimes you can get some ideas by watching other documentaries on the same subject. Okay, so you will get a lot of useful tips over there, so you will know how to make or fashion your own documentary. Okay, fine. Now once you have done the research, you have gathered together all the materials, you can prepare an outline. Now how to do this? First you make a structure or a sequence or a design. Okay, then arrange your materials to fit that structure. Okay, so first make the structure or sequence or design, and then arrange your materials to fit into that structure. Then write an outline, a full outline, mind you, on MS Word or on paper or on PowerPoint. Now then you decide how to edit, what to keep, what not to keep. Okay, select from the collection of materials that you have gathered together. Okay, so you're on the way to writing it in full and preparing it in full. Then is writing your own script. Now, put the ideas, shots in a sequence as you will be filming it. Sorry. Then you create a storyboard. Now, what this storyboard is, I will develop later on. I will share my second PowerPoint, which is all about scripting and storyboarding. Okay. So at the moment, I'm just saying it's an organized and structured story sequence like we have when we are doing a comic strip. So we have a series of pictures. So we can explore the action as it takes place by looking at the different pictures which are in sequence. So like that, the storyboard gives us the details of what is happening or what's going to happen in this film step by step, with actions, speech, directions, everything being specified over there in brief. Then you make a shot by shot list of the camera work also, like whether you will take it wide angle shot, close shot, whatnot. Okay. Now, if you have narration, then also you have to write it out. As I said, that nothing is to be left to chance, nothing is to be left to uncertainty over here. Because narration means that the whole thing has to be narrated absolutely word by word. Okay, so the whole thing has to come down. So you have to put it down on paper first. And then there's a lot of questions of revising that, rectifying that, improving that. So first thing, you cannot just say, think that I will just narrate it like that or just off the cuff like that. You can't do it. Okay, here you have to write it out in full length beforehand. Okay, then write out the title credits and other information appearing at the beginning and end of the documentary. Okay, so if you're making a documentary, then you need to thank various people. So some title credits will come at the beginning of the documentary also when it closes. So you write all these things out. So you're on the way to preparing the documentary now. Then is the shooting part. Now, where are you filming? Outdoors or indoors? Now, how much of it you can actually do outdoors at the moment, that I don't know. Okay, so that might be restricted. So, but within the restrictions, you can operate, or at least it is at least better than what it was in March when the total lockdown was in place. So given the number of restrictions, whatever little filming you can do at least outdoors, you do it. Rest of it will be done indoors. Now, indoors filming is either done on location or in the studio. Now, you may or may not have access to a studio, but definitely you can do it on your own in a quiet place where there is not too much of disturbance from the outside. Now, choose your location carefully and capture the footage over there. Now, if you need to have shots with people talking, street scenes, action sequences, okay, action in the backdrop, then collect them. Later on, you will have to edit them all together. So film everything and then edit and collect these sequences. Okay. Now, the editing part obviously comes after this. The editing is very, very important. You can't just have unedited sequences. So you choose a video editor and streamline the scenes. Okay, cut out any unnecessary, repetitive, poorly filmed parts. In the actual film sequences that we see, a lot of repetition is actually there, and a good bit of poor work or amateur work is cut out and redone. Okay, so you might have to do something similar over here. Then remove some fuzzy audio. If you have any fuzzy audio, what is fuzzy audio?
So
Fuzzy,
the
Audio with
audio
noise,
with
sir.
background
yeah,
Very
noise.
much noise.
yeah, that's right, that's right. Audio with some background noise or some noise which is disruptive. Yes, that's right. So noise, if that is fuzzy, it has no place in the actual film. We can cut it out. So replace that. Then you can add some music, captions, text wherever it is necessary. Yes, definitely we do keep adding things like this in the video films. So you will be you'll be required to add these things and check the timing. Yes, this is very important because how long you are devoting to that particular film or discussion, whatever it is. Now that is very, very important. So accordingly, you have to adjust. In fact, you adjust the timing to the other things that you have at your disposal. Okay, so if it goes overboard or if it shoots the length of time that it is given, then your feature film or your documentary may not be accepted even. Okay, so suppose you've been asked to make a 10-minute documentary and you make one that is 45 minutes. Okay, so there is a wide difference between what you are asked to prepare and what you have prepared. So it will be scrapped. So in order that your work is not rejected or it is not scrapped, what you have to do is to check the timing and stick to the timing very, very carefully to begin with. Okay, because nobody will excuse you for taking liberty with the time. So check and see that you are able to do all this within the time slot that you are given. Okay, now once your video is made, you view it, get others to see it, get some feedback. Okay, you can even do some live streaming on that. So I'm sure you understand more about these things than I do. Okay, so this is something about how to make your own video. Now, let us see some uh, DIY videos really about this. So far, I have been instructing you or sharing some points with you. So that was just done by me. Now, let us have some professional filmmakers or people who know something about it really, much more than I do. So discuss about this. Okay, so some videos about how to shoot documentary films, okay, with illustrations. So let us watch the first of these. How to make the film. Okay, just give me a little time, please. Okay, no. I'm having a few problems. Just bear with me for a few minutes. Okay, seems to be coming at last. Okay, fine. So let us watch this video now. The first one.
I want to give you the 4 essential ingredients for shooting your documentary. Whether your camera is an Arri Alexa or an iPhone, there are the same 4 creative considerations that make documentaries look like documentaries. In fact, this is the quickest way to upgrade from what I think looks like amateur home video style shooting to actually making what looks like a film. So when your non-video friend comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'm going on the trip of a lifetime to Patagonia. What do I shoot with my new camera?" I think this is the easiest way to teach that. Just tell your friend there are 4 essential elements of documentary. And the first one is an interview, also called a talking head or a soundbite. We also refer to them in television news as a SOT, sound on tape, which is definitely an outdated phrase because there's no tape involved anymore. Right now, I'm recording audio through XLR right into the camera, which is how I do most of my interviews. But I like the phrase SOT because it's a really short acronym. It's shorter than writing out interview when I'm naming my files after I've shot the film. So I can just say, David Tran SOT, and I know exactly what that is. These are really important as the documentarian to capture because I'm learning a lot of information and I'm getting a great audio track that I can use to build my film. Honestly, the way that I like to edit, I may only use the actual talking headshot for a second here, a second there. It's really that audio that I need.
People want to see the detail in the fur. They want to see the eyes of the animal. They want to see these little gnats that are flying in front of us.
So the second element of documentary is VO, voiceover. And I like voiceover because people seem to like my voice. Hey, Indie Mogulers. Hey, Indie Mogulers. Hey, Indie Mogulers. So for me, it's a free asset I have. I don't have to hire extra talent, a voiceover artist. I can just do my own voiceover for my film. My neighborhood in Lower Manhattan is especially bright and colorful. So I visited a local neon sign maker to see. I do think that voiceover can be a crutch. If your whole film is voiceover, then you have to ask yourself, why am I not conveying this information effectively through visuals? Why are my interviews not conveying this information? But I do think that voiceover can be a nice through line to take all the things you learned in interviews that maybe you had to cut out for timing reasons, and you can string your film together with voiceover. Less than a mile away, Vanessa's dumplings are slightly more expensive. I tell her I have just come from Tasty Dumpling. The third element of documentary is B-roll, and there's a reason that I put B-roll in this quadrant above interviews, because that's primarily the purpose of B-roll. B-roll is all the wonderful shots that you captured while shooting your documentary, all the close-ups and medium shots and wide shots of all the details in the film. And you're primarily using them to cover up the interview. You put them on top of the interview, because you can imagine how boring a documentary would be if it was just a talking headshot for the entire time, and you would have no ability to cut out anything from the interview. So yeah, B-roll also covers up voiceover. So in television, a VO piece, a voiceover piece, is a piece that's just B-roll. So often when I worked in news, I would just shoot a bunch of beautiful B-roll shots, package them together into a 30-second or 60-second clip, and then they could just play it during the broadcast. During a live show when the anchors are talking, you can cut away to this B-roll.
In order to finish it within 4 days.
One thing you should know about B-roll, if you've never shot a documentary or a television news story, is that you need a lot more of it than you think you do. You want to give yourself options in the edit, especially when you shoot B-roll before you shoot your interview, because the interview may reveal what are the things that you're talking about that I need to see. And in fact, I like to shoot B-roll before I ever get to the interview. I don't want to show up and do the interview first when my relationship with the subject isn't there yet. I might want to spend a few hours shooting some B-roll, even if I don't really know what I'm supposed to be capturing yet. Just spending that time getting the subject comfortable, then when we sit down and do the interview, they'll be a better subject and they'll trust me more to give me good answers. So shoot a lot of B-roll. Sometimes I think the ratio is like 60-1 of what you'll need. I shot a 5-minute film called Hand Cut about ice in cocktails, but it had 8 hours of interviews and B-roll. When I made Sriracha, a 33-minute documentary, I had 32 hours of interviews and B-roll. So shoot a lot of stuff because, well, if you're like me, you may want to cram a lot of shots into the film. Here's the power of B-roll. I'm going to play you an uncut moment from an interview in my film Hand Cut.
Well, I'm finished with ice sculptures, at least in this portion of my life. I'm going to change over to more of a non-specialty ice product, something standard like cubes and cut cubes and dry ice and selling block ice.
So that sounded okay. He didn't stutter or cough. Sometimes I'll cut those things out. But I do think from just an efficiency standpoint, I can cut this down in length and still convey the same information. So here I'll make 2 cuts and we'll see how this sounds.
Well, I'm finished with ice sculptures, at least in this portion of my life. I'm going to change over to something standard like cubes and cut cubes and selling block ice.
So those are very clearly jump cuts. They feel pretty awkward when you can hear the cut, you can see the cut at the exact same time. We're not cutting to something else. You know exactly what I've done. And sometimes I'm okay as a filmmaker putting a jump cut in a film and letting the audience know about the editing. But generally, we kind of want to hide the production process from the audience and just let them get wrapped up in the story. One thing I want to challenge you to, though, is let's watch that again. And this is something I do when I'm editing these sound bites. Once you make a jump cut, it's pretty obvious when you're looking at it that it's happening. It's very jarring to see. But the real test is, can you hear it? So I want you to watch it one more time and just close your eyes. And yes, the jump cuts are there, but if you can't hear the edit, then it's okay. We can cover it up with B-roll, and as long as we can't hear that edit, it's fine.
Well, I'm finished with ice sculptures, at least in this portion of my life. I'm going to change over to something standard like cubes and cut cubes and selling block ice.
So yeah, now that I've listened to it, I know that it sounds okay. So here's the version with B-roll on top.
Well, I'm finished with ice sculptures, at least in this portion of my life. I'm going to change over to something standard like cubes and cut cubes and selling block ice.
One caveat I will mention about these first 3 elements of documentary is if you're shooting a cinema verite documentary, cinema verite means cinema truth, then you may not have a formal interview and you probably won't have voiceover, because cinema verite is about showing up with a camera and just documenting what's actually happening, which you may not want to stage an interview for that, but most documentaries will have these elements. And the final element of documentary is a nat sound break. Nat sound is short for natural sound. We also call it wild sound. And when I'm shooting documentary, I'm always capturing nat sound, whether it's on a microphone hidden here under the shot, or even if it's just the on-camera microphone. For nat sound, I'm okay with the on-camera microphone. You know, just hearing the street sound or anything like that, that's natural sound. And a nat sound break is where you just let that audio live on its own for a moment in the film. So, you know, maybe the music continues, but you drop out the sound bites, the voiceover, and you just let the nat sound live for a moment.
They're still wild animals, and you have to travel with a group of people
in hand cut, it's chipping away at the ice, just letting the audience hear that.
About 20 to 30 drinks.
In television news, it's often called a nat sound pop. That's just one more audio element, really, that's helping you tell your story. And so these are the 4 elements: interview, voiceover, B-roll, and nat sound break that I'm thinking about. Am I capturing all these things when I'm out in the field? These are the 4 elements that I talk about when I give workshops on how to shoot documentaries. It's a very audio-heavy list. And this is what I think about when I'm making documentary. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you learned something today, then I think you'll also like this new crash course I've put together on documentary filmmaking. This is a
Okay, now we are not doing the crash course right now, but I have another DIY video by another person. Well, that is also pretty useful. So I'm playing that now for you. Yeah. Okay, is it visible to you? I hope it is. If not, then I will present it.
Hello everybody. If you haven't seen my last video, I was talking about the difference between aimless filmmaking and assertive documentary filmmaking. See, aimless filmmaking is what I kind of see, which is kind of taught all across YouTube. It's get information about cameras and gear, and then just go shoot and hope for the best. But the problem with that is that rarely works out. See, what I've been talking about lately on this channel is assertive documentary, assertive filmmaking. This is a way to approach your films at all stages to make sure that you have the best story possible and setting you up to have the most compelling film, which will garner an audience and help you get more films in your career. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about 4 quick questions that will set you up for a win when making a film. Everyone who's ever going to shoot a film needs to know these questions. And what's sad is they're so rarely taught. They see so many people quit and leave their projects because there isn't a simple process outlined for them in creating that film. So in today's video, I want to help clarify some of that confusion for you. And I want to show you why assertive documentary filmmaking will get you quickly started and help you cut through some of the confusion and the frustration in making films. So number 1, the first question you need to ask before you ever start filming is this. Simply put, is your idea a topic or a story? My mentor in filmmaking used to drill this into me. He would get me to actually chant it. Do you have a topic or story? So what is a story? Because we always hear this, that good stories, that you need to story first. It gets kind of lost. You're like, well, what is a story? The key to a story is that it has conflict. The person in your film wants something, and they're going to need to go on a journey to get that. And along that journey, they're going to learn something. See, the difference between that and a topic is just a bit aimless. It doesn't have these traits. So let me make this more practical. In our film that we released in 2014, Transcend, which went on to go onto Netflix and was shown on ESPN, I had the chance to help edit it, and my creative partner, Michael Del Monte, he directed it. This film was successful because it was a story. It was about Wesley Career, who was a Boston Marathon runner who then tried to get elected in the Kenyan parliament as an independent candidate, which had never happened before. See, he was trying to win the Boston Marathon and win an election race. Right away, we have a character who wants something.
I feel like it's a calling that I have to do the will of God. But I think it's just gonna be hard. But when I look at my life, nothing has been easy. It's been all hard. And it's just hard.
This is a story, and this is why we followed him along that, and the film kind of just told itself in a way. Where the difference between a topic and a story is the topic could have just been marathon running or running. and nothing would have happened. We would have just interviewed people talking about running. We don't know what people want. There's no conflict. So simply put, do you have conflict? Do you have a story, or do you just have a topic? Number two, do you have a main character, and do we know who they are within the first 5 to 10% of your film? This is really important. I see a lot of documentaries that just have random beautiful footage of sunsets and some voiceover, but we don't know who the film is about. A great film that just came out, you may not be able to see it because it's still doing its film festival circuit, is called 9/11 Kids. So right away, one of the first scenes of the film, it sets up who the main character is in the film, and that's this teacher who had a class of students who were reading to President Bush at the time when the planes hit the trade towers back in 2001. And the film goes on to talk about who these people are and how their lives unfolded after this moment. But what the film does is it sets up the main character and the main characters right away at the beginning of the film, so we know who we are going to journey with. This is important. Do you have a main character, and do we know who they are within the first 5 to 10% of the film? Okay, number three, and this is really important and often overlooked, is your characters need to want something. I'm gonna borrow a quote from Aaron Sorkin, which is, if you have a character in your film and they don't want something, they're not a character. What we mean by that is everyone in your films needs to want something, or they need to help your character achieve what they want. So ask yourself, is the person you've chosen to make your film about, do they want something? If yes, then is that clear in your film? If no, then you need to find out what they want. And if you can't find that out, then maybe you don't have a character and maybe you need to choose someone new. Now, the good thing about humans is that everyone wants something. So in your film, you can actually explore that. If you don't necessarily know what the person wants, or maybe they don't know what they want, your film can be exploring that. Right there, that's tension. Someone trying to find out what they want in their life. And the number 4 assertive documentary question is, can you show the journey of this character? Can you show the rise in tension in their life? Can you show them trying to discover what they want or trying to achieve what they want? Can you do this with old footage, if it's a past story that you're retelling, or if it's a fresh story, if it's actually happening? Do you have access to them? Can you get a camera in front of them to actually tell that story? If you can't, it's going to be very difficult to create this film. And this is what professional filmmakers are asking themselves before they ever start off. Can I actually be at these key moments in this person's life and retell this, or be there to show it in the moment, to show them trying to achieve what they want? So simply put, can you show their journey? If you can't, you're not going to have a film. Because again, as I said, a story is a journey. There's a conflict, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. See, you don't need to be an artist or even an experienced filmmaker to be able to answer these questions. You literally just need a checklist. You need to be writing them down right now and asking yourself, as you approach your next film. You need to be brave and honest when you ask yourself these questions too, because sometimes you know the person that you're trying to tell the story about, sometimes they're even a family member, but you have to be brave and honest with yourself and admit, maybe this isn't the strongest story, maybe I need to take it a new direction, or maybe I need to find a new story altogether. In my upcoming documentary masterclass, I'll be sharing more topics like this, such as crafting your story, how to find your film.
Okay, now we are not talking about the master class right now, but I think that was quite useful for you as well. Now I'm going to share with you a short documentary on a nature topic. Okay, so you watch how it is actually done in action. Okay, so let us look at this one. I think it's a very good one. Let's see. So that was a short animated documentary, right? So what was it about? This was about the migration of the swallows. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah, this was about the migration of the swallows. Okay, so did it have any voiceover? No, it didn't. Okay, so did it have a storyline? Yes, it did have a storyline. The whole story of the swallows migrating to warmer climates in winter from Europe. So right across from England to France to Spain, across the Strait of Gibraltar to Africa, just traveling right across Africa. Okay, so this whole thing was shown using animation and maps, and there was music, background music, guitar mainly, I think, in the backdrop, and there was some text also to show the countries through which the swallows were traveling, but there was no narration as such or no voiceover as such, but we were able to understand the full thing of the migratory cycle of the birds. So it was a remarkable, short documentary. Now obviously if you are doing something of the corporate world or the Indian corporate world, it's not going to be something like this. It's going to be different, but I'm just giving you some ideas. Another nature documentary which is slightly different from this one, I'm going to show. I think this one has text and a bit of narration also. Just let us see this one. It is called Born to Travel. Okay, let me display it for you. Yes, this is the one, Born to Travel. Okay, this was a very powerful and very moving film on migratory birds as such. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hmm. Now, it would be wonderful if you could also recreate something like that. Anyway, but as I said, that this one and the previous one that I have shared with you, these are documentaries of a different kind. Okay, so they are nature documentaries, wildlife documentaries. So they are drawing mostly on images. So the first one was an animated film. It was drawing on animations and music in the background, and this one is drawing on actual footage and films, film footage, as well as it was drawing on background song as well as music. So, and the narration was mostly in the form of the drop down text, okay, or the running text in the backdrop, which was coming, okay, but it wasn't in the form of a voiceover because that would sort of destroy the beauty of the video. However, if you are doing a narration based film on corporate life, definitely you can have music in the backdrop. You cannot have song because I think that would be inappropriate, but you can have music in the backdrop. You can have voice over, okay, and you can have narration, certainly, okay. But obviously, it will be an informative documentary, so that is going to be a bit different from this one, okay. So we will explore more about documentaries and filmmaking and writing the storyboard in our next class. Now, the project that you will do of making the documentary, I would like you to do it in groups of five. Please choose your group partners and do it in groups of five. You can, in fact, the CR can post to me, message me the names of the group members in the different groups. Okay, right. So I hope you did enjoy the bits that we saw from the live documentaries today. Now let me take the attendance. Aniket Nayak, then Anindo Kutia, then Arnab Bhattacharjee, then Ankush Chaudhary.
Present, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Then Mohammad Sabiullah, then Momita Paul.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Then Prince Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Then Rima Das.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then Rohit Das. Rohit Gupta. Sneha Ghosh. Sonu Kumar Jha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot. Then Sritama Shah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Then Shubhajit Shamanta. Then Sudipta Bose.
Yes, sir, present.
Thanks. then Sushant Shekhar, then Shutitha Kundu, then Wasim Khan.
Present, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sir, I went to the washroom, so I wasn't able to respond to my roll call.
Okay, you are?
Aniket Nayak.
Okay, fine. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir, I couldn't respond.
who are you now?
Hello, sir, I couldn't. My microphone was not working.
Okay, that's all right. Fine. Okay, so thanks a lot for joining me today in this session on the making of a short documentary. I hope you also enjoyed learning about making a documentary, the purpose of a documentary, and two feature documentaries, the two sample ones on the migratory birds that we saw. Obviously, your output is going to be a different one. I will be showing more examples the next time, together with the whole concept of storyboarding and the filmmaking techniques, the camera shots and others which are used in filming in making the documentary. Okay, so in the meantime, please choose your subjects for making the projects. Okay, and the group.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, can we do it solo, like only one person?
you can do that, but what it's actually supposed to be a group effort. If you do it solo, then there'll be quite a large number, okay, of documentaries. So it's difficult for me to manage so many. Okay,
Sir,
because
will
I'll
you
have to
send
watch
the
all of them.
PPT?
Beg your pardon. You come again?
Sir, will you send this PPT that you presented today?
Yeah. Yes. Sure. I can do that. In fact, I can share the class video with you, so you will get the whole thing over there.
Okay, sir.
Would you like that? Yes. So I can share a
Sir,
YouTube link.
the video or the PPT, sir? Anything is fine.
Which one would you like?
Sir, PPT.
Okay, not the class video. Okay. Uh,
Sir,
okay, because
actually,
if
it's
you have,
better to navigate through, so I can. In the video, sir, I will have to search the part. So in the PPT slide, I can just select the slide and take the notes.
that's right. That's right. So yes, I can share it with you. And the video also, if you want the class video, I can share that, because I will be uploading it later on YouTube. So that's where I put the videos ultimately. So definitely I will share that also if you want, because then you will be seeing the clips also over there. Fine, I will do that. No issue. And you choose your subject matters. You do a little bit of thinking on this, how you are going to prepare one on corporate life. And Indian corporate life is what I would really like to focus on, because you see, the more we talk about corporate life, all the examples, whether it be the powerpoints that we get or the materials that we get on different websites, most of it, the videos that we get, most of it relates to corporate life in the West. Okay, much less information is available about Indian corporate life. But I think for us, that is an area of much greater interest, right? So if you can do some good work relating to Indian corporate life, I think that would be something substantial as an achievement. And I would say that whatever I have discussed in the classes, I have, got some good output from there. So I'd be very happy as well. So see what you can do. You do some thinking on this topic. We will be discussing more on this, and also about the storyboarding concept and how to actually make the film the next time that we meet. Okay. So keep well. See you again soon. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye.